Let's get a bit of perspective on all this. I'm now being joined on the news at 10 by a renowned economist and the CEO of financial derivatives company, Mr. Bismarck Rewani. Thanks so much for joining us on the news at 10 on a day like this as well.
Thank you for having me.
People
what do we say?
The last time I had you in the chair, you said this is status quo economics, even though the CBN governor says stability is the name of the game. Do you feel the same way?
This time, I think there was no option but to do this. Quite frankly, the decision was unanimous, and also the fact is that you're between a rock and a hard place. So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. So you've got to make a choice, and that choice was a prudent choice. Leave things as status quo, right? Let's see how the policies pan out. But the most important thing here is that the psychology of inflation, what we call inflation expectations versus inflation psychology, is a critical thing now.
What's the difference now?
Inflation psychology is when you are afraid that prices are increasing and your salary and wages are constant. Then you're stuck and you begin to switch. Inflation expectation is when you think prices are going to increase and you are speculatively buying to protect yourself from future price. But is inflation a Nigerian phenomenon? No. Even the United States has gone from 1.2% to 6.2%. The United Kingdom has gone from 0.7 to 4.2. In Africa, in particular, we've seen the phenomenon where we've taken 4 countries. Ghana, inflation has increased. South Africa has actually gone up from 13.6 to 15.7. In Kenya has gone, so that's what has happened. Now, the question is it the countries that have high inflation are having weak currencies? So what causes what? Is it a weak currency that leads to high inflation, or is it high inflation that leads to a weak currency? The reality is that it's 6 or 1 or half a dozen of the other. In other words, if you don't, Abiola said you cannot clap with one hand. You cannot control your exchange rate if you don't actually increase supply, change the market structure, and come up with a mechanism. So what we've tried to do in the past is to try and clap with one hand. It's not possible. So what are you seeing? The Bank of Ghana increased interest rates to control inflation, hoping that will improve the value of the cedi. The South African central bank also increased interest rates. Now, the question is that what kind of inflation? The National Bureau of Statistics said that inflation in the last year prices increased by 15.99%. So we went to the market to look at 9 commodities. And I'm not going to bore you with all of them, but I'll just take some of the critical ones. We took cooking gas, and you heard the minister talking about cooking gas has gone up from 3,600 this time last year to 10,200, an increase of 183%. But that's peculiar because there's some structural disruption there. We took a flight ticket from Lagos to Abuja. Last year it was 36,000 one way. It's now 73,000, 102% increase. We took diesel. Diesel at this time last year was 195 naira per liter. It's 340 naira per liter, up 79, up 102%. No, actually up 79%. We took sardines. Sardines were 200 naira a tin, Titus tin 2 years ago, 350 naira last year. It's now 600 naira, 71.4%. We took beans. Beans went up from 21,000 to 56,000. So what does this mean? It means that the average of this price increase is 94% compared to 15.9%. But this is Lagos. It's narrow. It's a synthetic basket. It's Lagos alone, so it does not represent the entire country, but it's indicative of something. What is causing this price increases? 1, the exchange rate passed through. It was 460 at this time last year. The parallel market is 560 this time, 100 naira. But things are happening there. Insecurity, there have been over 2,300 kidnappings in the first half of this year. And diesel cost. So those have pushed things. Now, how are the people reacting to this? The good news is what you hear is good news, but what you feel is a nightmare. So we took a straw poll of 100 Nigerians in the Ikoyi, Victoria Island, Lekki axis. 65 of them said they're tired of promises. We don't hear, we just want results. 25 of them said, no lame excuses, and 10% said, I don't care. Now, but Christmas is coming. Is this Christmas going to be better than last year? Yes, you bet. So what's the good news? Growth is improving. The central bank governor alluded to that. Price of oil is up. It's now about $79, $80 a barrel. Official inflation is declining, and external reserves are above $40 billion. So that's good. Now, the IMF says the economy is on the mend. In other words, we are beginning to see growth. Growth that is interesting, because we look at the sectors that grew fastest. Rail transportation up 59% in Q3. Air transportation up 33%. Obviously, people want to fly because they don't want to be kidnapped. The price of a ticket is lower than the price of a ransom. The financial institutions are up 25%. Telecoms is up 11%. Food and beverages are up. Cement up. Construction up. Now, what does it tell you? There are some risks, but let's forget about it. The risks are that there could be a fourth wave or third wave, but we are vaccinating, and we have about 6% of the Nigerian population vaccinated. So what you see, Santa Claus is coming, goodies are here. What are the goodies? Exchange rate reform. Central bank is likely to adopt a crawling peg strategy to create convergence. So they're managing it as best as they can. Cost-reflective tariffs in electricity starting December 1. Petrol subsidies are going, seeing is believing. PMS price will remain the same, and Happy New Year ahead. What does that mean? Brent will trade around $80 a barrel. GDP growth will be at about 3.5% for the year. Inflation will likely increase again, but we can manage that. Forex demand will increase, and the power market will trade relatively flat. 400 days to election. Politics, politics, politics. That's what 2022 will look like.
Always a pleasure to have you in the chair, Mr. Rwani. Quite an analysis there. Thank you so much, CEO of Financial Derivatives Company, Mr. Bismarck Rwani, for joining us on the News at 10.